right, Herriman City. Today we are here with Mayor Palmer to talk about what happened at last night's City Council meeting. And we like to do regular segments that follow the Thursday after City Council meetings, and we will just call them the Council Meeting Updates with Mayor Palmer. Mayor Palmer, welcome. We're so glad you could join us.
I'm thrilled to be doing these. I think this is a great way to inform the people that, inform the residents that couldn't attend. It's busy. We're all busy, and this is a chance to just recap what we talk about in our meetings so people can keep informed.
I do think it's helpful, especially because City Council meetings are not 30 minutes or 60 minutes. Sometimes they're several hours, and not everybody can sit there throughout the whole meeting. So this is a way for us to just give you a recap so that you can just listen to it while you're driving in your car or when you're sitting at home making dinner, just to make it easier for you to stay connected with the city.
Yep. And we'll try to keep these short and brief, and so you don't get bored even listening to these.
Yes, we won't make these hours long. So let's start off with just kind of explaining the difference between the two types of meetings that City Council has. Prior to the general meeting, City Council holds a work meeting. What is the difference between what is done in the work meeting and what's done in the general meeting?
And that's a great question. Work meeting, there are no decisions made. I think that's the biggest difference. There are no decisions made during the work meeting. It's a time for council to look at projects that might be coming down the road. We can give feedback to a developer. We can talk about goals, visions in that meeting, but there are no decisions made during that meeting. We're planning preparation for decisions that might come down the road, but no decisions are made or allowed to be made during that meeting.
Great. And then when you move into the general meeting, those are items that are ready for a decision. You've kind of thoroughly vetted the projects, or you've at least had time to review them. And then that's when decisions are made?
That's when decisions are made, and that's when feedback can happen from residents. There's always a public comment portion during that. Every meeting there's an opportunity to speak to whatever issue residents might have concerns with. They can speak to certain issues that might be on the agenda, but that is when the decisions are made.
Okay, well, I think from there we will move on to the discussions that took place during the general meeting. There were several items on the consent agenda, but I think one of the ones that will interest the community the most is the fireworks restriction map.
Absolutely.
Were there any changes to the boundary this year?
There were, and I appreciate our partners with Unified Fire. They look at this every year. They update every year. They come to us with these updates. Update where development has taken place, so they feel like it's safer in those areas for fireworks to be lit in those areas. So it's still very cognizant of the fire issues on the mountain. We didn't have any incidents last year. That's the great thing to report. We didn't have any incidents last year based on, I think they do a thorough job of vetting where we can handle that and where it's safe. So that has been updated, so make sure this year, if you are in some new development, there are some areas opened up this year where there possibly could be some fireworks this year.
Well, and I did note, in the meeting before, we had actually had a representative from Unified Fire talk about this map, and he had said a lot of times we hear residents stating, how come the people across the street can light the fireworks but I can't? And he had said the line has to be drawn somewhere. There's always going to be a line, and there's always going to be somebody else on the other side of that line, but it really just is a safety factor, and they do have to create those boundaries to maintain safety during fireworks season in the community. So.
Absolutely. Yep.
So then let's move on to the discussion and action items. These are generally items that the City Council takes action on throughout the meeting. And the first one was a development, it was a permit flag lot development on a minimum of 2 acres of a minor collector. So what were some of the concerns that council had there, and what was the outcome of those discussions?
Well, this came back. The council went through a flag lot discussion I believe just last year. Flag lots keep coming up a lot. Flag lots are a way to allow for some infill development. Somebody might have 2 acres, somebody might have 5 acres, and it's just a way really to, in the city, keep some bigger lots that we're after. That
well, what happens is sometimes their home is built on the front end of that larger lot, so they have to figure out a way to
access
build
the
on
back.
the back.
And maybe they're not farming it. It was a farm at one point. They're not farming it anymore, or it's passed on to another generation, and the next generation doesn't want to take care of 2 acres. So it's just a way to look at that, look at some options for somebody's personal property, honestly. And so this was a resident that approached us and asked for just a slight adjustment. The council last year had eliminated any flag lots off what they call a minor collector, which are like 7300 West is a minor collector. I think Rosecrest is still considered a minor collector. There's still a few minor collectors in the city. They weren't allowed on these before, but some safety issues were addressed as far as flag lot. You're pulling straight in and straight out, so it's actually probably safer than a driveway. And then still, this is a 2 acre minimum, and it still has to be minimum of a half an acre. So we're still going to preserve some major lots, some large lots in these areas. So I think it only affected, I think, 20 properties at most in the city. So just, again, a resident initiated this, brought something to our attention that we felt like we could address, and I felt like we did a good job, thoroughly vetted it, and I think we'll see flag lots come here and there. I don't think we're done with flag lots.
Right. Well, as people look to, like you had noted, have a smaller property, maybe they're not interested in taking care of such a large property anymore. That's the route that they can take to request to the city council to consider a flag lot.
Yep, for sure.
Okay. So the next item was something that the city's actually been working on for a few years, but you really seem to have some interest in this next item, which was consideration of the formation of a diversity and inclusion advisory board for the city. So tell us a little bit about what that committee is looking like at this time.
Right. If there's one thing when I was running for office last year, one thing I heard from a lot of people was a lot of people still were trying to know how to get involved in the city. Not even necessarily they didn't belong, but just wanting to know how to get involved. How to a lot of people don't know how to get involved in local government, and involved in following it, involved in committees that the city might offer. So we looked around and started looking at different ways, and we did find that there were some diverse groups in our community especially looking for those ways to get involved. That's the one thing I heard the most when I was out campaigning. So we approached, you and I both reached out to some other cities, and really Draper's the one I think that resonated the most with they have a diversity and inclusion advisory board as well. And their entire mission of their board is just, basically do 2 events. They do a Cinco de Mayo celebration, and they do a multicultural celebration during their town days, if you will, similar to our town days. So really that's where we're going with this committee, as a chance to celebrate the different communities that we have in our population. I'd love to get some Bollywood dancers out here.
Yeah.
Some of our Polynesian community, they've got amazing performers that they could come out, just celebrating a lot of our heritage. We are a melting pot in this city right now. We are very diverse, and it's just celebrating that. We're not emphasizing differences. We're just celebrating those, and really just
learning about all the different cultures that we have here.
Yep.
We're even looking at different events for seniors, and so it's all groups that are included. And that's I think what will be really great about this committee.
And I think that gets overlooked a lot in these discussions. It becomes a political issue where this is really not politics at all. This is just a way. I had one group approach me. They want to help with the special needs community. There's just a parent support group of special needs children. The children could come together, and then there's a group that wants to help them put on an activity once a month, while the parents have just an hour away or an hour to vent to each other and talk to each other. That's hard, so it's looking at a lot of different things, not just some of the political stuff that we hear about.
Yeah. So it's basically just a way to foster the engagement in your community and just have a larger reach. Absolutely.
I think our city manager put it best, that sometimes the people that don't know how to get involved, they don't know how to come to the table and be a part of the community. And we're just, as he says, we're picking up the table and kind of making an effort to take it to them. So this is just about outreach right now. That's all. There's no advocacy involved in this. There's no, a lot of these groups past have had some police oversight, and there's none of that here. This is just outreach and community involvement.
Great. I think that will be great. And I think that we'll have some further information about that committee pushed out probably during future council meetings, as well as on our website, so that once we're ready to start looking for volunteers for that, that everybody will know where to go in case they're interested in being a part of that committee.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Okay, great. Well, I think that was kind of the extent of this week's agenda, and I know that there is another city council meeting on May 11th, with the work meeting starting at 5:30 and the general meeting beginning at 7. Are there any other city meetings beforehand that the public should know about?
Well, every week is also a planning commission meeting that will take place a week from today. Next Thursday, there's a planning commission meeting. Those kind of a lot where the discussions happen on the future development of the city. That's where you can really dig in, and a lot of the public hearings are held at that level. So that's a great one to be involved in. Really, that's it coming up right now. A few great events coming up in May and June, but we'll keep you posted on that. And I would say, just maybe in closing, I would say reach out to us. I think you've got a very engaged city council right now that want to talk, want to listen, want to hear. Reach out. I think we're out there. We want to be. This is just one step in putting more out there. So please reach out to any of us, phone, email, whatever it is. We're very willing to talk and engage on any of these items that we've talked about today.
Yes, and if you'd like additional information on what took place during these meetings, if you'd like to review the packet that was provided to council, or if you'd like to listen to the actual meeting, you can get any of these materials on our website at www.herriman.org. So we'd like to thank you for joining us on Council Updates with Mayor Palmer, and we hope to see you next time.